you log into, you're seeing something that's not a word, but it's asking you to, like, well, type the letters in this codec that you see, that you're experiencing, but what you're reading is not often a word at all. It's a scramble of letters, and we can have different, like a half of an O and a half of a U. Looking down, if you break the letters up, you're going to see different codecs and whatnot. But to split graphemes is a whole different topic. My point in bringing all this up is just to notice all the qualifiers that Corey uses. Watch where he's meandering. Watch what words he's using that are empirical when he's discussing ontological discussions, and read up on difference. Read up on deconstructionist philosophies. Because I think it'll help kind of dissect a lot of things that Corey himself is not purposely addressing. So he's got a motivation, a thematic tone to what it is he's doing, and I mean, I very much appreciate what he has, what he does online. I don't think he's aware of, or he hasn't gone into where what he is doing. He seems to back to when it might possibly move into a psychological dispute with somebody else, a personality dispute. It doesn't seem as if he wants to go into that particular discussion. He's not trying to go into that realm, so he's staying within a particular schooling. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Feel free to look at what I put in the below bar and comment if what I say makes any sense. Kind of get back to me on this. Thanks. I mean, no thanks. Okay, well, I'm back real quick. Okay, so these are just some continuing thoughts, because I think there's a point that another point that I'm trying to make here. Before I get to that, though, because I am zigzagging, I'm pinballing around, such as language, variables, words. Even like Corey says in this last video, they're saying what they're not. They're saying more and less than what they are. They're referencing other words in the language, but you can also reference a grapheme or a half a grapheme. You can reference a code. You can reference something that looks like a letter that isn't a letter, and you can see what that is. Your natural eye can see what that is, but it's not necessarily, you can't speak it. If you see it, you can't speak it to somebody. You can't speak the grapheme. You can speak what you understand of it. So some variables are going to point to things outside of the language, but those things are symbols within the language, but they're not able to be spoken. They're able to be seen. And this brings up different orders of logic, like first order logic can reference second order logic, but second order logic cannot be reduced to first order logic. And I mentioned that in a video a long time ago, and maybe I'll unprivatize that again. Okay, so, and these are based and rooted in my contention, and this is where I really think my distinctions or my problems are with Corey. Corey is... Okay, well, I'll just go over this and see what. Just notice, here are some of the things that Corey says. He says, it seems like, as if, I may be wrong. I think, for myself, what is in a... Oh, yeah, and then I'm saying, what is in a name besides agency? And what is in agency besides the culture that is defining agency? This notion of free agency. And he might also say, like, I'm going to preface this. Notice even my demeanor. I have to mimic Corey's style. I have to kind of come into it in a discussion sense, not as in a I'm going to lay down facts sense, but I am driving at a point. And my point about Corey is that he's pigeonholed, he's on an agenda, kind of a witch hunt of sorts. So we have like, once again, and I don't mind if I'm scattered or not. I think people that listen to all these 3 videos are going to be able to pull something together out of it. So difference, once again, is the difference between theology and negative theology, or onto-theology and philosophy. But if we say theology and negative theology, when Derrida is asked about difference between these two, is that what you're pointing to as negative theology? He says it is and it isn't. It's kind of like the notion of an opposite of the opposite of one thing. A double opposite of something is not necessarily, like, oh god, what am I getting at? Negative 1 is the opposite of 1. The opposite of negative 1 is 1. But in logic, you could say, well, I think somebody will come up with an example. My head isn't straight here. Okay, anyway, I don't want to ramble too much in this area, but what I'm getting at is that 2 negatives don't necessarily make a positive in language in all cases. Now Derrida isn't the first one to come up with this. Even the reading, if you read Being in Time, you're going to find that at some point, unlike Corey's suggestion that Dasein is time and makes an equivalence to it, Heidegger even separates Dasein from time. He has analyzing time with Dasein. Dasein is like a trace. And then you got whole histories of philosophies of tracking and tracing. A lot of Wittgenstein's work, and Corey in one video, he'll quote Wittgenstein for courage, but he doesn't even get into the idea that Wittgenstein probably started the whole notion of language as tool, because at one time Corey was like, well, who came up with this idea that language is a tool? And so tracking and tracing kind of function down the contours of words, the etymology of words, this notion of time-bindedness. But I want you to keep in mind that this primitive language deals with time in a more concentric way. It is not part of the Occidental canon, hence it's not part of the hierarchy. It's not part of the placement of one within an Occidental hierarchy. The words are not recursive, therefore the statements are not encapsulated within one another. So once again, this notion of apart from the cosmos. Yes, I'm apart from the cosmos because cosmos is nothing that I experience. It's an idea, but what Corey's referencing, the big mystery, this wiggle, it appears, is in reference to another type of language, a whole other form of life that is not recursive. And this is where Corey's hair is blown back and you go, "Ooh, life's a big mystery," but no, it's that language is echoing this pre-recursive time when there wasn't text, then there wasn't recursion, and there wasn't hierarchy, and even in this language that Daniel Everett's referencing generations, that in this tribe they reference generations. So this is a different generation. That generation, this generation, not that this generation's predominant or dominates, that the parents predominate over the children. So once again, Corey's fulfilling this drive to hierarchy, and a lot of his work stems from that, and he doesn't see it. So the real question is the propensity of anarchists who are not communists. From where do they come? A lot of Corey's questions are kind of presumptuous. Like, this is the question. Like, let me tell you what the question is. Not this is my question, but the